All right, let's jump right in. Think about this for a second. Over here, you've got the gig economy, that big promise of being your own boss, right? Total flexibility. And over here, you have buy now, pay later services. That super easy, one-click way to get what you want and deal with the bill later. Now, on the surface, they seem like they have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But what if I told you they're not separate at all? What if they're actually tangled up in this really interesting way, where the so-called freedom of one is secretly creating a need for the other?
So just to get a sense of the scale we're dealing with here, it's huge. Back in 2022, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that 21%, yeah, that's more than 1 out of every 5 American consumers with a credit file, had used one of these buy now, pay later services. This isn't some small niche thing anymore. It's totally mainstream. And you know, this didn't just happen overnight, but it kinda did. The growth of buy now, pay later, or BNPL as everyone calls it, has been absolutely explosive. It has completely changed how millions of us shop and think about paying for things.
And this chart really just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, look at this. Back in 2019, daily applications were barely a blip on the radar. But then, boom, they just start climbing. And by 2022, we're seeing over 1 million applications a day with these insane spikes around Black Friday. This is a massive cultural shift in how we buy things, and it happened in just a couple of years.
But here's something you might get wrong. You might think, okay, people are using this for big stuff, right? Like a new laptop or a flight. But the data actually shows the complete opposite. The real sweet spot for these Pay in 4 loans is for small, everyday things. The average transaction is only about $142. We're talking about a new pair of jeans, getting food delivered, maybe a video game. It's all the little stuff that, really starts to add up. So, who's using these services the most? Well, the answer is crystal clear. It's young people. More than a third of Gen Z and another third of young millennials used them in 2022. It's just become a normal part of their financial lives, way more than for any other generation. But it's not just about age. To really get what's going on, we have to look under the hood at their finances. Look, the convenience is a total game changer. No one's denying that. But when you start to dig into the finances of the typical BNPL user, a much more complicated picture starts to form. It's not just about what they're buying, it's about the financial state they're already in.
And this is what's really striking. When researchers compared BNPL users to people of the same age with similar credit scores who don't use these services, wow. The BNPL users were already carrying way more debt across the board. We're talking almost $900 more on their credit cards. And look at this, over $5,700 more in student loans. These are not people with a lot of wiggle room. They're already stretched pretty thin.
So that leads to the big question, right? If you're already carrying all of this debt, why would you add more even in these little 4-payment chunks? Well, the answer might be hiding in plain sight and how they're using the credit they've already got. This is a huge clue.
And this chart? This tells a story. Your credit card utilization, which is just a fancy way of saying how much of your available credit limit you're actually using, is a huge sign of financial stress. For the average BNPL user, that number is a sky-high 65%. For people who don't use it, it's only 34%. A rate that high usually means one thing. You're running out of options. Your credit cards are getting maxed out, so BNPL becomes the next stop. Now just hold that thought. Keep that picture of a financially strapped person in your mind.
Because now we're going to pivot. We're going to switch gears completely and talk about something that seems totally unrelated: the modern world of work and the gig economy. This is the promise, right? This is the sales pitch from companies like Uber, DoorDash, and Lyft. It's a vision of total freedom. As Lyft put it here, it's about uniquely flexible work opportunities. No boss, no schedule, just you, your car, and an app. And you have to admit, it sounds amazing. Now, the whole system is built on this one legal idea: the independent contractor. And that classification is everything. It means, legally, you're your own little business. But it also means the company doesn't have to give you a minimum wage, or overtime, or sick leave, or unemployment insurance. Basically, you trade all of that security for flexibility.
So that's the promise and the legal setup. But a recent report from Human Rights Watch called The Gig Trap paints a very, very different picture of what it's actually like for a lot of these workers.
So what's the day-to-day really feel like? Well, according to the report, it often means your pay is set by some mysterious algorithm that you have no control over, you can't negotiate, there's no safety net if you get sick, you have to pay for your own gas, your own insurance, all the repairs on your car, and you can get deactivated, which is basically fired, by that same algorithm with almost no way to fight it. And this lack of security, well, it creates a really fragile financial life. When Human Rights Watch asked gig workers what they'd do if they had a simple $400 emergency, like a flat tire or a doctor's bill, a shocking 35% said they just couldn't pay for it, period. Another 50% would have to go into debt or borrow money. Only 15% could just handle it. That is living right on the financial edge. Okay, remember that financially stretched person from the beginning? The one with high debt, maxing out their credit cards? And remember the financially fragile worker we just met who can't cover a small emergency? Well, it's time to bring them together. Because it turns out they're not two different people. They're the same person. So here it is. This is the big question. What on earth does delivering someone's tacos have to do with using Afterpay to buy a new pair of shoes? The answer is everything. Just look at this side by side. On the left, you've got the typical BNPL user. Young, shaky credit, high debt, financially vulnerable. And on the right, the gig worker, also a younger workforce, unstable income, no safety net, struggling with emergencies. Do you see it? It's the same profile. These two worlds aren't just similar. They're inhabited by the exact same people. And this is the twist. This is the whole thing right here. The unstable, unpredictable nature of gig work with no safety net. It creates the need for easy, short-term, and kind of risky credit like buy now, pay later. One system is literally feeding the other. And it's not just a coincidence. It's more like a feedback loop, a cycle. These two massive parts of our economy don't just exist next to each other, they actually work together to create a trap that can be incredibly hard to get out of.
Let's just walk through it. So your gig income is up one week, down the next. It's impossible to budget. Then your car breaks down. That's a cash emergency. You don't have it, your credit cards are full, so you use BNPL to get it fixed. But now you've got this new payment to make every 2 weeks, adding to your debt. That puts even more pressure on you, which means you have to get out there and drive more or deliver more just to keep your head above water. The solution to the problem just loops you right back into the problem itself.
Which brings it all back to where we started. The gig economy sold us flexibility. Buy now, pay later sold us convenience. And they both seem like these great modern tools that give us more control. But when you put them together, they can create something totally different. A cycle of instability, where shaky work is patched over with shaky credit. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Both of these industries were built on this idea of empowering you, the individual, giving you the freedom to work how you want and buy what you want. But when that flexibility and convenience comes at the cost of actual long-term financial stability, you really have to stop and ask, who is this new economy really working for?